Hello, everybody. Welcome to Modern Campfire. I'm Jersh,
I'm Mears.
and we're a couple of friends huddled around our computer screens to talk about movies and pop culture entertainment in general. On this episode, we're going to review Maestro. So, Maestro was directed by Bradley Cooper and also stars Bradley Cooper. It was co-written by Bradley Cooper along with Josh Singer, produced by Bradley Cooper and Martin Scorsese, Steven Spielberg, and then a few other names. It also co-stars what's her name? What's her name? Carey Mulligan. I have it sitting in front of me, but I knew I could remember it because anyway. Also stars Carey Mulligan, and it is a biographical romantic drama that centers on the relationship between American composer Leonard Bernstein and his wife, Felicia. So, what we will do is we will start with a spoiler free discussion where we will give our overall thoughts, and then we will move into the spoiler section and we'll play it by ear where we actually give our rating on the Modern Campfire scale. Okay? So Mears, I want to ask you. We should say I first watched this movie about a month ago when it hit Netflix, and I kind of just revisited some trailers and some story synopsis to remind myself what happened. But most of the movie did stick with me, so I feel pretty confident in talking about the movie right now. And Mears, you just watched it yesterday, right? At the time of this recording?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay,
Yes.
so I'm really curious to ask you. I mean, this is Bradley Cooper's. This is a 5 year gap from A Star Is Born, which is the reason I ever gave Lady Gaga a chance. So, what did you think of Maestro?
So I, I mean, what like a powerful movie? What just like this big epic movie? Um, I definitely see why it's nominated at the Oscars. It, I mean, just like the artistry that it went into it, just like the care and time put into like the character study of Leonard and
Mm-hmm.
Felicia, and just, I mean, just a real work of art. And I'm so glad I got around finally to see it and before the Oscars so that I can, um, root it on, be excited if it wins anything. Um,
Yeah, it's nominated. I don't have the nominees in front of me. I should have pulled them up, but I think it's nominated for Best Picture, Best Actor. I think Best Original Screenplay. I think I was just talking to you
mm,
about that the other day, where Maestro is an original screenplay, but Oppenheimer is adapted because Nolan based it on a book. And I think Carey Mulligan also got nommed. It has a lot of nominations. It's basically
mm.
kind of being billed as like an Oscar bait movie. Um,
That's what I was thinking while watching it. I was like, I can see why people would say that this is Oscar bait because I think it is Oscar bait, but it's really good Oscar bait, and I'll bite any day.
but it caught me. So it sounds like you appreciated it on a technical level. Was it a movie that you like actually liked? Is it? Did you care about the characters, or I mean, so just overall you liked it? I'll get into my thoughts in a second, I guess.
Yes, I liked it. It made me emotional
Okay.
at times. Um, yeah, it's one that I would definitely watch again. It's kind of like this. It seemed longer than it actually was.
Yeah.
Like about an hour in, I felt like I was already 3 hours in. Like there was a lot of story in it, just like Oppenheimer was.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I felt like I was like part of the movie. I really I was captivated by it for sure.
I think for me overall, I really enjoyed it, and especially having some time away from it, it's kind of amazing to me how much has stuck with me. Like that's why I'm like, we need to talk about Maestro. Like I just keep thinking about it. I keep thinking about the performances and the cinematography and the
Mhm.
transitions and like the color palette going through different eras and things like that. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, like on a technical level, it's just like, holy shit, this is only your second movie. Now, obviously, you know, it's a charmed life. He's been in film a long time. He's been an actor a long time, and he's spoken at length about how gracious other directors have been through his whole career. like letting him sit at the Video Village, knowing one day he wanted to be a director. So sitting with JJ, sitting with Guillermo, having meetings with Steven Spielberg and Martin Scorsese. Because I guess originally Spielberg was attached to direct because he loves Leonard Bernstein,
Mm.
because West Side Story is his favorite musical, and Spielberg finally did his version of West Side Story a few years ago. So he was actually attached to do this for a while. But I would say for the same reasons that I like kind of love and respect that it did something different with the biopic, which is it kind of put the professional stuff on the background, like that was assumed. Like, oh, everybody knows who Leonard Bernstein is. Everybody knows all of his musicals. Everybody knows all of his music. I don't care about that. I'm fascinated by the relationship and his family life, almost explicitly, exclusively, right?
Mhm.
Um, and for me, not really knowing who Leonard Bernstein was, like I kind of wanted a little bit more of some of the traditional biopic stuff. I'm like, please tell me why he matters. Please tell me why, what
Yeah.
made him so special. Show him working on music of some kind. You know what I mean? So, um, and so that part was kind of lacking for me, where I'm just like, I'm being told he's a great composer and musician just because of, you need to know real life, but I wasn't shown in the movie. It just operated under an assumption, right, that I didn't quite have.
Right.
Um,
Yeah, I had never heard of him, honestly. I've never seen West Side Story. So I didn't even, I mean, not a clue about this dude at all going
mhm.
into it. So it was fun to learn about someone and their like kind of figure them out as a person and their personal struggles within themselves and
Yeah.
how that affected their family and their life and their career and everything. But I do agree it was less. Yeah, I definitely wanted more. It was definitely more focusing on like the artistry of like, how do we show this time period in his life? Oh, let's make it, look exactly like films looked at that time.
Yeah.
Um, which we can talk more about later because I would definitely love to get into that.
Right. Yeah. I will, just for, in case people haven't watched it by now, I'll save some of that detailed thoughts for spoilers,
Mhm.
just in case, just to be on the safe side. Very spoiler averse around here. So yeah, but I thought everything was like really top notch, like Bradley Cooper especially. Obviously, he's getting assistance with makeup and prosthetics, and there was some drama around that when it
Mhm.
happened. Personally, I mean, the family is okay with it. The family loves Bradley Cooper, loves this movie, feels that it was very fair and very authentic, and they kind of loved everything that he did, and that's really whose opinion what matters the most in my opinion.
Yeah.
Um, so I mean, I think there's like a whole nother topic on how what lengths should actors go to manipulate themselves and alter themselves to enhance, you know what I mean? And not just prosthetics, but like weight gain, weight loss, these types of things. But his ability, again, like the first 15 or 20 minutes, his accent and his performance, I felt was like very affected and purposeful, where I was like, you're trying so hard. You want that Oscar so bad, And then
Mhm.
within like 15 or 20 minutes of a 2.5 hour movie, it just started to sound normal and natural, and that's kind of the magic of performance that you want. And his ability, like he had multiple voices throughout this movie as Leonard Bernstein's life changed, and he went through some things that I won't get into. But he had said in an interview that essentially he had to learn the voice at two different octaves because there was an extremely lower register at some point for Leonard.
Mm.
And you probably don't realize it in the movie, but maybe if you watched like an early scene and then maybe a later scene, you'd probably hear the
Right.
difference. But his voice like sounds almost completely different. Really impressive. Yeah, again, cinematography, the transitions. I thought the decision to make Leonard Bernstein's original music from all of the musicals that he wrote just straight up the score, even in the credits it says music by Leonard Bernstein.
Yeah. I was
Yeah.
I was surprised to see that. I was like, oh, okay, that makes sense. Like, why not do that? Just let that be the score, and just like that's such a cool thing to do to include their own music in the movie.
Can you imagine like Maestro, the Leonard Bernstein story, like music composed by Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross?
God.
And then I wrote a play, wrote it all day. Um, but yeah, I thought Carrie Mulligan was like also really impressive. She just was born. She was born to play period piece characters. She just was. Her look, she
Mm.
just like has this classic old Hollywood look no matter what she does with her hair or makeup. She also did a really great job in my opinion that was very purposeful with the way that she delivered her lines and discussed her lines. Um uh I mean
Yeah.
anytime you're going to do like a biopic or a true story, you have so many options at your disposal. I think like Steve Jobs, the Danny Boyle movie starring Michael Fassbender, they did not do an entire lifetime. They just did, you know, three key Apple reveal events, and you learned about his life and his character.
Oh.
Yeah, have you ever seen that movie?
I have not, no, but
Yeah, that doesn't spoil it.
I remember when that came out and like watching the trailers and stuff for it, but yeah, I've never seen it.
It's absolutely worth watching. And so yeah, that movie's really unique because it's like each act is a different Apple event at different times in his
Mm.
life, and through his interactions through his characters, it's like, you know, how's your daughter been? How's your wife been? How's the company doing? It's
Mm.
like you find that out while he's prepping for like it's shit, it sucks, but let's get this computer going. Whatever, you know what I mean? So very
Right.
unique
That's a
in
cool
that way.
idea.
Yeah. And so this movie, yeah, decided to go the whole way. You know, the whole where his career started, where it ends up. It kind of tells you a whole. It's really kind of an epic, you know, life story.
Mhm.
Um, and so yeah, there's not a lot that I disliked about it, except omitting some of that career path, omitting some of those, I guess, kind of yeah, assumed firsthand knowledge. I would have liked a little bit more. But I also like after I watch movies, I tend to like try to watch documentaries and interviews and try to
Mhm.
understand like you know where they were coming from and my own interpretation of what their intention was, things like that, similar to how I do music. And Bradley Cooper had said like, you know, because of the, you know, the era that Leonard Bernstein became popular and successful and stayed in the public eye for so long, that he's essentially one of the most photographed celebrities in history. Like you can see videos and
Mm.
stills from him everywhere. He was on television all the time. And so he thought it would be really
Mm.
boring to just recreate things everybody had already seen or could see if they hadn't seen it already. You know, but you can't see that family
Right.
life. You can't see the living room and the
Yeah.
fight before the performance and stuff like that. So I do, you know, I really appreciated that. Um, but yeah, there's not a lot else that I can say here that I don't think spoils pretty significant kind of reveals in the movie. So I guess yeah, let's go ahead and give it. Let's get our ratings here in the spoiler-free version, just
Okay.
in case people don't want to have the movie spoiled, or if our discussion encourages them to see it. So what would you
Right.
rate this on the Modern Campfire scale? How many marshmallows we talking?
I am giving it 8.5 marshmallows, so eight and a bite.
Okay, all right. I would say I'm at an 8, where it didn't have that extra half whatever emotional attachment thing. That's something else that I'll say while we're spoiler free is that it's like I appreciated what the characters were going through, but I didn't get an invest. Like I wept in A Star Is Born. I cried my fucking eyes out at A Star Is Born. Now
Me too.
uh, you know, okay, so there, fair. I was like, you know, I'm a Midwest guitarist with hearing issues. Like that movie was made to rip my heart out. So, like, uh, the fact that I didn't have those things to latch onto in this movie, that I was kind of at an arm's length, almost like a fictional documentary, I didn't quite get kind of choked up in certain moments the way that I thought I did. But I thought I still like being aware of how good the movie was. I still thought it was like, oh, this is really good. You know, but I was aware of that
Hmm.
instead of feeling it. You know, but
See,
yeah.
I did cry in this, so we can talk about that in the spoiler
And
section.
spoilers. Okay.
That was why, and then why like the extra half, and then um, as we'll get into it more, Carey Mulligan's performance for me.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of the things that happen with her character, if you don't know real life, is probably best saved for spoilers. So we'll just get
Hmm.
into it right now. Full spoiler warning for the movie Maestro. If you have not watched it yet, we're going to not necessarily explicitly go through the whole plot, but we're going to talk about things that we feel were best saved for a spoiler setting. It's available on Netflix, and we both recommended it and gave it a high rating in the spoiler free section. So, is there anything spoiler wise that you wanted to comment on specifically, or maybe talk about what parts of the movie got you most emotionally tore up?
Yeah, so right off the bat, the makeup really impressed me. Seeing at the beginning Bradley Cooper in the old age makeup, I was looking for like themes and like not like that was so good.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I really hope that it's nominated for best makeup.
I'm going to look at while you're
Um,
talking because I feel like it
it's
was.
gotta be. It's gotta
It
be.
was
Like
incredible.
everybody, the old age, how they did when they aged the characters, I thought was really like Carey Mulligan. Just it just looked like real. Like it didn't look like it was makeup. Like I believed that that was them older. But yeah, his at the beginning, just the oh my God, just like the details of like wear and tear on like his skin and like sun
Mm-hmm.
damage and just I was just so impressed.
Yeah,
Um,
it got nominated for 7 Oscars. Let's go ahead and talk about it now. Um,
mhm.
where are we at? Where are we at? Um, Here we go. Yep. Best Picture, Best Actor, Best Actress, Best Screenplay, Best Makeup, Best Sound, Best Cinematography.
Yeah,
The cinematography was
I those are
fucking
deserved.
gorgeous. Gorgeous. But yeah.
Right? So like whenever it went to black and white,
Mm-hmm.
I was very excited. Um so that scene where we see him first young and he answers the phone, he gets the call.
Mm-hmm.
And you see like I wasn't really sure what we were seeing. In my mind, before he opened the blinds, I pictured him in like I don't like a theater, kind of like what like that was like a stage and a screen is kind of what I thought. It was
Mm-hmm.
reminding me of I think it was in The Aviator, and like he's sitting there like watching like the dailies. Like that's what it reminded me of. And whenever he went and opened it, I was just like in shock that like, oh, that's a bedroom. Like I just felt like that whole scene it was just like so beautifully like framed and everything that I thought that was a good reveal. And then like him like walking into the theater and then it's like kind of like all in one
A
shot and then
long
it's from
tracking shot.
overhead.
It
And
looked
yeah.
kind of CGI on my TV. It looked like they had digitally superimposed 2 different shots, or he was maybe in front of a green screen. But I saw a little bit of behind the scenes. That was like legit. They had like a giant camera on an overhead rig, and it just zoomed down past Bradley Cooper's head all the way down to the stage, so you could look up at him. Like, yeah, it was awesome.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Um,
and then um interesting like the whenever we see Carey Mulligan for the first time and it's like in the 40s and it's shot like a 40s movie, like the frames. I
mm-hmm.
mean, just everything. I was like, okay, this is what we're dealing with. Okay, Bradley Cooper, I see
Yeah.
you. And then it just did that for the rest of the movie with just like the different time periods and everything looked, once it went into Technicolor, it looked like, I mean, just oh my gosh,
Yeah.
I was so impressed.
It changed with the eras in a respectful and accurate manner that um, it is flashy, but it really gives you a weight and an importance and a realization of like how many eras he existed through. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Like realizing how the technology and the way images were captured around him as he aged, you really got to feel that because of the different ways that they captured them in those different eras. I thought it was great. Um, I also appreciated the commitment to the realities of smoking. Everybody had cigarettes in their hand all the time. It was a
Hmm.
smoke filled movie. And I think he
Hmm.
had said, like, even when it's pretend smoke, it's still smoke in your face 12 hours a day. Like, it gets to you even when you're
Yeah.
pretending. Um, but yeah, just everything about it. Again, like, I knew a little bit about him. I knew he made West Side Story. I knew he made, um, is it A Quiet Place? The New York song, New York, New York. He wrote that, and I knew that,
Okay.
which is why they went into that sailor song and dance on stage
Right.
because he wrote that. Yeah. See, but you didn't
That
know
was
that, so
such a
that
good
doesn't.
scene too.
It's cool. You appreciate it, but you didn't know that, right? So
Right. I had no idea.
yeah. Um, I felt that how they revealed his sexuality and how he handled both, and again, like I'm taking the movie at its face value because the family signed off on it, as much as they could. But it seemed like he was a complicated guy. He had good parts and bad parts about him. They didn't shy away from, and when I say bad parts, I just mean he hurt people on accident.
Yeah.
His family, his wife, not
Mhm.
trying to, but his yeah, his kind of need and love for the attention and affection of others uh, was a strain on his marriage. But he didn't hide that from her. She knew exactly who he
Yeah.
was and married him anyway. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, she said like what was it towards the end? Like she knew who he was like before they even got married. Like she's always known who he
I've
was.
always known who he was. Yeah, exactly. And then how the family, the kids grow up and age, and
Mhm.
just talking about like starting in a bedroom and ending up in this full color mansion and like all of this success, like being interviewed at the end of his life. And again, the later stage makeup is fucking insane. What did you think of
Mhm.
the big performance moment about 2/3 of the way through the movie where it's like this big long 6-minute take as he's finally being a maestro in that cathedral? What did you think about that?
It was so beautiful. Like I'm wanting I think I I don't know if there footage of that, like the actual performance,
It's
because I
on
feel like I
YouTube.
need to see it.
Yep,
Is it
I
okay?
watched
The
some of it.
song was so beautiful. He had so much passion when he was conducting. Like you could see it. Like it was, even though I don't, I've never seen him like actually do it in person. I can imagine that's probably exactly what he looks like
Hmm.
doing it, and you could just see. Yeah, it was beautiful. It was beautiful to watch Carrie Mulligan watch it and kind of see like that, a kind of like reconciling moment for them,
Which
and
apparently
that
really
she.
happened. Apparently she was there. Like that wasn't
Okay.
like shortcut for the movie. Apparently she really went to that
Hmm.
performance.
Okay. Um, yeah, and just see the way that she like watched it versus like how she watched him previously in the movie, kind of like watching from the sides, and that like really beautiful shot when it was in black and white and she was off stage and it was like her framed in like total blackness, and then it was just so, and that transition I think was when it went into color and she was
Hmm.
standing at the window at that party, and oh my gosh, it was just
Yeah,
so good.
the literally living in his shadow moment was very impactful to me. It's one of my most memorable parts.
Hmm.
Apparently, it was in the trailer, so it was like given away. And
Uh,
then I think other people maybe thought it was a little heavy-handed because it's like, okay, we get it. She's in your shadow. You're a big magnanimous personality, and the world revolves around you. We get it. I'm just like, I don't. I feel like you only feel that way if you had it ruined for you in the trailer. When I saw it sight unseen, because I didn't watch any trailers for this, I avoided it because I
yeah,
knew I wanted to watch
me
it.
either.
So like my first introduction to him in the makeup was in the movie, and I was like, oh my fucking god.
Hmm.
um, but yeah, I thought it was beautiful. So yeah, that cathedral performance in particular, I watched an interview about it, and he basically said he wasn't going for mimicry and exact recreation. He wanted to recreate the feel, the energy, the love,
Hmm.
the devotion to it. And you can actually watch the original performance on YouTube, and it's like uncanny. It's insane how close it looks to the real thing. Um, and yeah, again, I feel like very risky. A movie about a composer and a conductor, like that's the scene. You almost otherwise do not see him do that in the entire movie.
Hmm.
But
That's
apparently,
true.
that was like a really big. There's like a 6-minute uncut take or something like that ended up in the movie.
I was totally like enthralled by it. Like I was locked in, tuned in that whole I couldn't even told you how long it was. Like
Hmm.
it was just so impactful. And then right
So
after that we get hit with the that's what from the doctor's office on, I was crying intermittently until the end of the movie. I was as soon as whenever so when the doctor tells them and everything, and he's kind of like stammering, Bradley Cooper stammering over his words and like saying like what are we gonna do? What are the next steps? And then the doctor leaves, and then she kind of like finally breaks down. I started crying
Yeah.
when I saw her, and I was like, the rest of the movie, I was like, screw you, Bradley Cooper, you suck. Like, I hate you. Why are you doing this to me?
Did
And yeah, that's Carey Mulligan. I mean, this is for me. This is like I think the role of a lifetime for her. I think this might even be like this might be her best role and what she's probably going to be most remembered for because I just thought she did an incredible job and
she's so
especially with
perfectly
that like
cast. Mm-hmm.
it was, oh my gosh,
He
incredible.
directs in scene, and apparently when he was hugging her, they
Hmm.
had to remove the audio, but he literally was directing the cameraman push in, push in, push in, like while
Oh
they were
wow,
hugging.
that's awesome.
It's hilarious. So yeah, so really the third act of the movie is her diagnosis, her deteriorated health, and how she unfortunately, sadly passed away, which was all true. She died in his arms, and the children kind of grew up, and also there was kind of that testy moment where the daughter had been hearing about Leonard's flings and
Yeah.
infidelities, and he basically lied to her to spare her feelings, which
Hmm.
probably was maybe the right call. I don't know. It's hard to say. Um, but and then we actually like make it to the 80s where he like pulls up in like
Hmm.
a top down car. Did you think it was a little on the nose for him to listen to Billy Joel's "We Didn't Start the Fire," where his name is literally in the song?
Did a little bit. I thought it, yeah, it was a little bit. Like right as we're pulling up to the next scene, that's the exact moment that part of the song is. Okay.
I thought it was
Um,
pretty heavy handed too, but I it made me laugh. Um,
it made me chuckle.
And honestly, that's like one of the only implications that you have of his impact to the outside world because it's such an insular, private, small
Hmm.
movie about him and his wife. You know what I mean? And his romances and relationships and his family life. So it's like, oh yeah, that's right. He's known the world over, but you'd never know it from this fucking movie because we're just always in his goddamn living room. Like, which
Hmm.
again is in my opinion a kind of a pro and a slight con. I think it's unique in that way, thankfully. Um, I thought like him in the club, like in slow motion with all
I love that
sweaty, and
song
it
though.
was so crazy. I know, I know.
With
Which
the guy that he was just teaching, kind of was like,
he
he
literally
never
can't.
stopped.
Yeah, he can't help himself. Um, so yeah, any other kind of last thoughts or ideas that you wanted to share about Maestro in general, spoiler or not?
Um, just that yeah, I think everybody did a great job with their performances. I was so into it in the moment where he kissed that guy in the hallway and his wife's like coming in. I literally
Mm.
went, "Oh no, 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 no,
And the
no, no,
fight
no."
on
And just like
Thanksgiving, yeah.
mm-hmm. And seeing yeah, when they were like they paused and then you see Snoopy going past the window and then that we don't stop until he's made it fully there and um yeah, it's just I'm so glad I watched it. I really loved it. I
Yeah.
really did.
Yeah, I liked it a lot too, and we'll have to wait for an Oscar prediction episode here to see what we think it's going to
Hmm.
come away with. I definitely think it deserves to win some of those nominations, maybe not some of them. We'll have to wait and see. But yeah, that is going to do it for our review of Maestro. If you enjoyed this video or podcast, make sure you like it and review and subscribe wherever you are consuming it. As always, thank you for watching or listening. Until next time.